As soon as he saw the crowds, Jesus went up the mountain, sat down. His disciples were close to him. He began preaching. This is where Jesus began his preaching to the disciples. This mountain has kept the peaceful and tranquil environment, surrounded by flowers and grass. You can hear the singing of birds overlooking the Lake of Tiberias. We can really feel and understand how spontaneous it was for Jesus to make use of flowers, birds in his parables. Jesus invites us to have confidence in God's providence, who looks after his creation. He looks after the birds and the flowers. We must learn from nature to lead a simple life. In 1937, the Franciscans built this Mount of the Beatitudes church in the shape of an octagon. Each beatitude is carved on each of the 8 corners. Whoever accepts God's love and let it permeate his life, whoever accepts God's truth and let it enlighten his soul, will be satisfied and will not long for worldly riches. He will become poor in spirit, compassionate, kind, hungry for justice, merciful, pure of heart, a peacemaker, ready to be persecuted for justice. He will be salt of the earth, light in the world. He will not be bound by law and tradition, but will be driven by love, which rises above the law and fulfills all laws. Love will give us the strength to love our enemy. Jesus' preaching was different from that of the scribes and Pharisees of his time. The powerful words of Jesus attracted the crowds who followed him everywhere. This mountain, not far from the mountain of the Beatitudes, is traditionally called the Mountain of the 5 Loaves and 2 Fishes. Here, Jesus' miracle of the 5 loaves and 2 fishes happened. The crowd followed Jesus and for days had nothing to eat. There was a boy with 5 small barley loaves and 2 small fish. Jesus invited the boy to share it with all. Jesus took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed to those who were seated, who could eat as much as they wanted. When they all had enough to eat, there were leftovers. The crowd was over 5,000. In 1932, many pieces of art were excavated. The most precious is this mosaic on the floor. There are a basket filled with bread and 2 fishes on the side. The crowd was so impressed by Jesus' miracle that they wanted to crown him king, but he went away immediately to pray alone on the mountain. Jesus knew that the people were waiting for a glorious Messiah to deliver them from the Romans, to liberate them with miracles and power. Jesus knew that these people, including his own disciples, were not ready to receive a suffering Messiah, who would be nailed to the cross. Next day, the crowd found Jesus in Capernaum, which is only 4 kilometers from the Lake of Tiberias. Capernaum was a business center, busy and crowded. The Romans established a tax office and army quarters supervised by a centurion. In 1905, a synagogue intact was excavated. The archaeologists confirmed that parts of it were built at the time of Jesus. The Gospel of Luke relates that when Jesus went to Capernaum, there a centurion's servant, whom his master valued highly, was sick and about to die. The centurion sent some elders of the Jews to Jesus, asking him to heal his servant. The crowds thought that Jesus should help the centurion, who loved the people and built a synagogue for them. Here Jesus continued to preach. He pointed out the meaning of the 5 bread and 2 fishes. Men do not live on food alone, but food from above, and that is Jesus himself. 2 of Jesus' apostles, Peter and his brother Andrew, lived in Capernaum. This church, built in the shape of a boat, was built on what is believed to be the site of Peter's house. The Gospel reports that Jesus worked quite a number of miracles in the house of Peter, healing his mother-in-law and many sick people who had come to be cured. Peter's home became an evangelization center. According to the Gospel of Mark, 4 men came bringing to him a paralytic. Since they could not get close to Jesus because of the crowd, they made an opening in the roof above Jesus, from where they lowered the sick man on a stretcher. Jesus saw their faith and cured the paralytic. According to the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus cured the daughter of the chief of the synagogue, and a woman who had been bleeding for 12 years, who came up behind him and touched the edge of his cloak. Jesus worked many miracles here. He did not only cure physical ailments, but spiritual ones as well. Jesus lived in Capernaum for a long time. People sometimes named Capernaum as Jesus' second hometown. Jesus, from the very beginning of his preaching, proclaimed that love is the focus of his gospel.
若在